everyone, as promised, this is going to be part 2 of how to make a candle holder from clay. So we have our finished dried tree, and I'm just going to take this little guy out so that we don't get paint all over him. Okay, so now your tree is dry, you're going to want to paint it. And I'm using acrylics today, and basically when you're mixing you want to make sure that you don't put too much water in your mix, because otherwise it will soften out the clay and then it will start to remould again, so always remember that. I'm going to go with browns and greens and some sort of natural look for this one. I have my brushes, and over here I have some little sequins and some little green beads, and they're going to be little after effects when the paint is dry. Okay, so I'm going to start with a base coat of brown. I'm just going to zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. And you want to make sure you get in every little bump and every little part, so that when it's finished it looks complete. Okay, now for a more sort of realistic look, or a much more effective look actually, I like to take a base coat and then gently add in a slightly different shade, just to give it a bit of like wooded texture. So I don't know if you can see that on here. If I maybe add in some brown, some light brown, I don't know if you can see that at all. But you just want to sort of dab or stipple around the corners. There you go. And naturally, when you come to the parts where it's starting to have a shadow, like inside here, I would make it more darker or add some more black. I'm just trying to get all the fiddly little parts around there. And it's drying quite quickly, almost as quick as when I'm putting it on the clay itself. It dries, so you don't have to worry too much about drying time. There we go, just adding some little bits of bark detail. Making sure all the white gaps are covered. you might have to turn your model around a bit just to get to the other sides. Okay. Okay. There we go. Start on the other side. Once this top coat is dry, I shall then be adding some bright green for moss and ivy trailing up the tree to give it some extra cool effects. But again, it's up to you how you want to paint your tree. You can have it bright pink or fluorescent colours. If it's a sci-fi tree, you can try all sorts. Okay, so that's the bottom part done. Just going to slowly work my way up to the top, making sure to get underneath all the bumps, like I said, and try not to miss any part out. Go around the hole there. Okay, so as you can see, we're starting to build up the effect quite nicely. I'm going to carry on now up the main trunk and body of the tree, and then I shall start on the after effects. So now we have our base coat, and I put a little bit of black in the little like hole in the middle, and I darkened out the shadowy parts, and once it was completely dry, which only took a matter of like 10 minutes or so, I took a dry brush with some light brown and I brushed lightly over it to give it the wood and grainy effect. So now I'm going to start working on the greenery up around the roots and the actual body of the tree. So for that I'm going to use a sponge, and it's dry, completely bone dry. I'm just going to take a little bit of green on it and gently dab it onto the areas that I want the greenery. Now for this I have mixed two sorts of green together. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of an aqua green and a more forest green. I'm just going to start down the bottom So once I've actually got my paint on, I'm going to take a small brush and just use it dry and blend it out. Because I don't want it to look too harsh. I'm going to try and keep it as natural looking as possible. So if I lift him up again, you can kind of see where the green's starting to come in. Let's turn him round a little, so I hope you can see that a bit better. Okay, so for the rest of the ivy, I'm going to use this very small thin brush to get the detail that I want. And I'm going to drag the line up and around the tree trunk. Okay, so you can see it's subtle enough that it looks like it's part of the tree, but also it stands out enough so you can see it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more in slowly. I think I'm going to make this a summery sort of tree, I think. So just slightly dabbing little spots of green all over the body of the tree. And I'm actually using my second green now, my little aqua green, because it's slightly darker, and I'm dabbing it very slowly, making small circles around the tree for ivy. And we're going to bring that down. Down to our base. Okay. I apologise for the lighting, it doesn't seem to be picking it up very well. There you go, I don't know if you can see the trail of green. There we go, that's better. I will do my best to put some final images up so you can actually see all the paintwork in detail in better lighting. So I'm using a mixture of 3 greens, 3 different shades, just to add my ivy down my tree. There we go. And of course you can add some at the bottom for moss or any sort of greenery that you like. So now that part's done, I'm going to start working on the branches and the final details. Here is our finished product. So I painted the branches, and when I got to the ends I painted the tips green, and once that had all dried I then stuck these sequins on to the branches and some little beads, if you can see that, and I used super glue to stick them on. You don't have to use super glue, but I just prefer it, and I think it gives a really cool effect. So let's give it a little twirl for you. So you can see it better. It's all painted and finished off. And it's in our candle holder ready to go. So I'm going to show you a short clip of it when it's lit and in the dark, so you can see it at its full effect. So I will be right back. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the dark, and I'm going to shut the door. There we go, so you can see it in its full glory. There's your tea light at the bottom. And the top. I hope you enjoyed this craft video, and I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.